And this is indeed your election headquarters. From now till November, all election-related stories we will bring you here on the show. But let's begin with some politics today. Stand down as the presidential candidate of the governing NDC and avail yourself for an inquiry. That's the charge of the Progressive People's Party on a day when the controversy over the car gift to President John Mahama continues to rage on. Since the news broke on Wednesday, this story has snowballed on its own. The CPP flag bearer Ivor Komna Greenstreet yesterday made it clear on this show that any talk of the president being impeached is, quote, ridiculous. The NDC says this story does not have the legs to stand on. Earlier, the Burkinabe contractor who gave a Ford Expedition to President Mahama as a gift, Jibril Kanazoe, has pulled out of an 82 million cedi road contract that was earmarked for him on sole sourcing. But today, addressing a news conference at its headquarters, the national chairman of the Progressive People's Party, Ni Alote Bruhaman, says the president has been caught in the web of taking a bribe and must avail himself for an independent inquiry.
President Mahama and the fight against corruption has been weak. The direct involvement of our president in this deal has compromised his ability to lead the fight against corruption. The president has violated his own code of conduct for public officers and the 1992 Constitution, Article 284 of the 1992 Constitution states that, and I quote, "A public officer shall not put himself in a position where his personal interest conflicts or is likely to conflict with the performance of the function of his office." The president must take immediate steps to redeem his image and that of the country. We therefore demand the following from the president: an immediate apology to the good people of Ghana for bringing shame and embarrassment to our dear country. The publication of his assets declaration forms completed before and after he became a member of parliament, Minister of State, Vice President, and as President of the Republic. Submit himself to a public inquiry to allow for a full public disclosure on the circumstances that led to the award of the two contracts and the giving of the gift. Therefore, the President should admit his inability to lead the anti-corruption crusade and therefore refuse to contest the re-election on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress. The President must put a freeze on the award of contracts in this election year until a new administration takes over in January 2017. The Progressive People's Party is giving notice that an administration that justifies such gift-taking cannot be trusted to give clean contracts during an election year. So it will not accept any new contracts given by this administration when it assumes power in 2017. We believe these and many others will help redeem the massively dented image of the presidency, which has been infected in many cases of bribery and corruption. This really feeds into our clarion call for all public office holders, including the president, to declare publicly their assets when they are about to assume office and do same when they are leaving office. If these were done, it would have been easy to know what the president owned before he became vice president, and what he owns currently. We dare him to publicly declare all his assets. Commendation for Manasseh Azuri and others who have uncovered corruption. We commend Manasseh Azuri, Anas Amerial Anas, Multimedia, and all who have joined the war against bribery, corruption, and other crimes against the state. We feel sorry for the people of Ghana who have suffered unjustifiably high levels of underdevelopment, poverty, and poor living conditions at the expense of corruption. Conclusion. The Ford vehicle saga calls for fresh and independent investigations into President Mahama's role in the abortive STX Korea deal. The foreign Burkinabe contractor must face independent investigation and should be banned from participating in all Ghana government contracts. We urge all contractors, Ghanaians or foreign, to take a cue from this and desist from giving so-called gifts to the president, ministers of state, and other government officials. We reiterate our position on the crusade against corruption and call for the national support for, as a matter of urgency, the need to separate the Attorney General's Department from the Ministry of Justice and separate Parliament from the executive arm of government. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. Thank you.
So that's the news conference organized by the PPP today at their headquarters, chaired by the national chairman, Nialote Bruhama. We'll surely interrogate the demands of the PPP, but they made reference in that news conference to an interview President John Mahama granted the BBC last month on that very subject of corruption.
Been offered a bribe before?
You mean as president?
As John Mahama?
As a human being?
As a person?
Any human being in the world would have encountered, corruption in a way, one way or the other, either being offered a bribe or a bribe being demanded from you. What you need to do is to put yourself in a position.
Mr. President, did you take it?
No, I haven't taken a bribe.
So that's the president speaking on the matter of corruption last month. The PPP says there is a direct correlation between this interview and the contents of that investigation that was done by Manasseh Azura Awuni. Now, we can bring you some more details on this particular issue. Joining us in the studio is the policy analyst of the PPP and former general secretary of the party, Kofi Asamoah Siang. He's with us now in the studio. Kofi, good afternoon to you.
Actually, good afternoon.
So today at this news conference, quite some demands you've made. You're saying that the president should stand down for this year's elections. Is that the solution to the problem here?
Well, the solutions are many. First of all, we are coming from the position that the president has misconducted himself in this particular case, and that he must do something to redeem his image as the president of the republic. He has contaminated the presidency or the high office of the president, and we think that something drastic must be done about it. In our view, these are some minimal interventions that the president can pursue as far as restoring glory and dignity to the high office of the president. So we have suggested that he should apologize. Apology has a certain effect, because the interview that you just played tells you that we have been subjected to some form of international ridicule. It is only a human being who can take bribe. So if at a high level interview such as that, you seek clarification on 2 occasions and ask if you are being referred to as a human being, it raises some questions.
But where's the correlation between this interview and the investigation that has been done? The investigation is specific to a case in point of a car being given to the president after a contract had run out.
You see, the president was fortunate that at that interview he was not speaking under oath. Otherwise, that would have been another matter to cause for an impeachment. So what we are saying is that the president goes on international media to say that he has never taken a bribe. This car saga, nobody, as far as the PPP is concerned, can convince us that it's not a bribe.
No, but to say that you are not convinced does not necessarily mean it's a bribe.
It is.
The explanation given here is that it's a gift. It breaches the code of conduct that the president himself has done. There are suggestions also that there's a case of conflict of interest. How does that correlate directly into a bribe?
I will explain to you. A gift and a bribe, they are the same. The only time you can do a distinction between the two is the circumstances surrounding the giving of the gift. What form do you expect bribe to come? In what form? bribes will always come in the form of gift. So just stating on a piece of paper or in a press conference or in a recorded voice in a secluded office from the Minister of Communication to call it a gift doesn't make it necessarily so. You have to look at other circumstances that we have even codified. So the President's own code of conduct said that the gift that you can take, or which is allowable by ministers of state, including him, by the rendition of his anti-corruption advisor, I think it's 2,000 Ghana cedis. Now, this gift is not $2,000 or $20,000. This is $100,000 we are talking about. So I'm saying to you that this car, it is not a gift in the manner that has been described. It is a bribe, properly so called, because the giver has something to do with government of Ghana. The giver gave even the circumstances. If you look at the contract that was given, even the Jericho wall, if you want to build it now in the 21st century, it won't cost that much.
But there was
Did they build a missile defense wall in Burkina Faso around the embassy?
Who do you hold for this? Do you hold those who are in charge of the tendering process or the contractor?
At the end of the day, the President is linked to the matter.
How is he linked to the matter?
How will the man, on what basis will the gentleman give those cars? And there's something interesting that people have not exposed. All the recordings that the person, the contractor, did confirm that he had something to do with the President. He thought he was speaking off record. And that should tell you something. So if he knew he was on record, he would not say it. So I'm telling you that there is no way that the President didn't know anything about the Burkinabe contract. And the gentleman made a very serious allegation. He says that he had made bids before, and the bids had not been successful. And somebody said the President or the Vice President then could intervene. And they saw him, he intervened and won one contract. And after that, a gift was given and subsequent contracts were given. Why is the gentleman running away from the last contract that he was supposed to be given under sole sourcing? Why is he running away from it? If it's legitimate and everything is above board and he did due diligence and there is nothing to be hidden, why is he running away from a juicy contract such as the Wa to Hamley Road? So nobody, and I read your, I don't know how you call it, the prelude to this interview. You said Mr. Ivor Greenstreet is saying that an impeachment process is ridiculous. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Read Article 69. There are two bases for us to be able to impeach the President. The first one is when he violates the Constitution or any provision of the Constitution. The other one is that when he violates his oath of allegiance. And there's a third one which says that if he brings the high office of President or Ghana into disrepute, and I have that, then everything here we are discussing states, look at that. It said to have conducted himself in such a manner which brings or is likely to bring the high office of President into disrepute, ridicule, or contempt. This bribe taking that we are discussing now affects this bill. He has reduced the high office of President to a level where we can't countenance it anymore. So we are saying that this country, is it not the same person who was talking about his commitment to the fight against corruption and so on? He is leading our aspiration towards a society that is corrupt-free. So if today we find him in this conflict of interest position, you think we should trust his ability to lead us to that destination or that promised land? No way.
So it is the view of the PPP that the impeachment process should begin?
The impeachment process should begin, and it can begin. Our lack of confidence in that process is that it can be started by a third of members of Parliament. I hope members of Parliament from across the divide will be able to see through this need for the President's impeachment to start. But for us to get the conclusion after going through the Chief Justice and all that processes by a resolution of Parliament, we should be able to get the president impeached. But unfortunately in Ghana, the MPs we have there are not members of Parliament. They are ministers of state. So it will be very difficult for Madam Hannah Tete, who is the MP for Wutu, to stand up in Parliament and vote against his boss, President Mahama, for her to be impeached. And that is why we say that remove ministers from Parliament. So the impeachment process can start, but it will not going to end anywhere. So the least the President can do is to take himself out of the process. People have resigned before. Look, is it not the same president who accepted Jifar Ativo's resignation? He should follow the same step. You have done something that is wrong. It's against the high morals of this country. You must take that step.
You're saying the president should resign?
He should resign. If he doesn't want to resign because it may bring some instability or whatever, he should not seek re-election. At least we will be comforted that he's done the honorable thing and he's not seeking re-election because he's done something wrong and he's doing it to placate us. For him to go around this country to campaign against for us to vote for him to come and do what? Again, because we have suspected that he's lacked the commitment to fight corruption. And this is the evidence. He can't do it. Who is he going to tell next time to return a car? And Mr. Mwanebu Ahmad did something journalists are not pointing out to. He sat in his office and recorded his response. Why has it happened before? In how many years of your practice in journalism? If he's not afraid of questions, probing questions, why will he sit in his office and record his voice and put it out there? Such lack of disrespect for journalists and Ghanaians. And the Minister of Communication, who is the official spokesperson of government, sit in an office, either his bedroom or wherever he did a recording, and put it out there. And if the president's car, if like they say, that the car is part of the presidential fleet, I have seen presidential convoy from Rawlings to Kufuor and from Mills to President Mahama. All the vehicles have number plates, license plate on them. So if this car is indeed part of the presidential fleet, why is it not being registered? Or if it's been registered, why is the record not in the DVLA database? So all these circumstances tell you that it is not a gift, it's a bribe. Look, if you read the criminal code, I think at 29, 244 or 245, read what it says completely. So look, nobody can, as far as we are concerned, all of us are independent. We think differently. We have the right to conscience. We have the right to academic thinking or whatever. We in the PPP have come to the conclusion that this thing is not a gift, it's a bribe, and the president must answer for it.
Okay, now you've asked for an apology. That's fine. But for the impeachment process that you say that there is, it should be initiated by a third of members of parliament, clearly it's something we will have to wait for. Even if it gets to that process, the ruling government or the party in government has two-thirds majority in parliament.
Yes.
So does that not lend credence to the thinking of some, including Mr. Greenstreet, to say, yes, we may start it, but it will amount to nothing. So maybe it could be ridiculous as possible.
That's not an understanding I get from his statement. He's saying that there's no cause for that process to begin in the first place. So the call for the impeachment process to begin is baseless and therefore ridiculous. That is what Greenstreet is saying. He's not talking about the end of the process. And that is why I have a problem with him. I have also told you that we don't believe that the impeachment process will get to a point where we'll get the desired result. And that is why we have preferred other options to the president. Look, a mere apology and admission, how do you trust the now when he stands up with the integrity initiative people in front of him, as he did the first time, do you imagine the president speaking with the same level of confidence as he did? So
if you're saying that an apology will put him in such a situation, why should he do it? Why will someone do a thing like this?
Yes.
So what then does he come to say? I'm sorry, Ghana, I took it.
Yes.
Sorry.
So I'm not interested for what has happened. I'm not going to seek re-election. People lost their job based on this. A bottle of wine. I was in the UK when David Blanket lost his position because he wrote an email following up on a nanny or a girlfriend or a wife's passport application. Best practice require that you do certain things under circumstances. If today we had some war situation or instability, the president will intervene with what we call declaration of state of emergency. Not so. So it doesn't mean that the president resigning will never happen. If, unfortunately for the president, it has to happen on his time for us to learn lessons going forward, he should do it for us. President Rawlings was hailed for peacefully handing over. We thought it won't happen. So today we are thinking that it is not possible that the president will resign. If he resigns, it's a lesson for this country, and that is the only way, part of the pieces of the steps we are taking to build a formidable country. It's unfortunate it's happened. It's bad judgment. His advisor too. And these were the words he used. He said the kind of president that we have, he cannot imagine that it will happen. So if it happens, what would be the advice that he will give? It would be interesting for you to call him back and ask him, now that it has happened, What is your advice to His Excellency President Mahama as the Chief Anti-Corruption Advisor?
For all the list of demands you've made, the PPP, if these demands are not met, then what?
The ultimate, everybody has a boss. The boss of the President of the Republic is the people of Ghana. We, as a people, as far as we are concerned, aspire to have a corrupt-free society. If the President doesn't do any of that and present himself again for re-election, he must lose the election. If he wins, it is up to us, all of us as Ghanaians, to answer that question.
Okay. Now, for the demands you make, some who may be looking at the political space will say, are you not doing this to also gain political advantage in all of this?
All political parties have some things they believe in. The President has his own. The NDC have theirs. We have ours. We have been on the banner of anti-corruption. We have been on the banner that if we introduce these measures, we will save this country $1 billion United States dollars a year to go into transformation, to go into the building of the schools and so on and so forth. So of course, if we didn't have anything wrong with our society, we would not be in politics. So yes, this is what we found wrong, and this is the measures we are proposing that has to be implemented. So President Mahama's Minister for Communications response, what do you think he was seeking to do? Was supposed to safeguard and protect the image of the president. So all of us have a stake. So nobody can be accusing the PPP of seeking a political interest. We are solving the problem, and that's the problem we have identified. These are our solutions. It may not be the best in the opinion of other people, but we are convinced and we hold the conviction that this is the best thing to do for the president to save all of us, the international ridicule.
Okay.
Look, it's a huge image booster if everybody hears that something wrong was done and the president took full responsibility for it. I'm sure, I can't recollect immediately, but I'm sure the president praised Madame Jiva Tivo for taking full responsibility, even when at the time we didn't know that she had something to do with the bus branding saga. We expect the same thing that the president gave to his appointees, to follow the same footstep and do the honorable thing, to bow out from the presidency or subject himself to a public inquiry.
Okay. There's this maxim that he who comes to the table of equity must come with clean hands.
Yes.
Does the PPP have clean hands? Are all your leaders incorruptible?
That is what we have been preaching. In 2008 elections, we, as far as our candidate is concerned, put forward his asset declaration forms. And that reminds me, there is this thing we call access declaration regime, which is not declaration. And I'm happy to say that journalists from multimedia are now questioning the rationale behind a declaration that is in an envelope. This is English language. You can't declare and put in an envelope. The president declared his access before he became an MP. When he left office as MP, he was supposed to do the same. When he became a minister or before, he was supposed to do and after. Vice president and president. Why do we declare access and put in an envelope?
What are you driving at with that declaration? Are you saying there's more to this?
It is ineffective. It is prone to be people go and lie. If somebody put a piece of paper and seal it and go and give it to the, without anything on it, and give it to the Auditor General and says that I'm submitting my asset declaration form, would that make sense to anybody? How the Auditor General is supposed to know that the right information has been put on the form? So what we are saying is that we are challenging the regime. The president can, let's say, put out what he completed and is on his file, or he can commission the Auditor General to put it out. And that one, you see, Dr. Tukuba, the President Executive Secretary, he taught me something when I was learning somewhere. He said there are two sides to the law. There is prohibition and permission. The president is permitted to do that publicly. When you go and ask his ministers, they will tell you that the law doesn't say so. But the law also permits him if he wishes to do. Dr. Indom did more than that. He had a comprehensive medical examination and put it out there. Now we are saying that even other things such as private, let's say how many children you have and all those things. Look, you are going into the public space. If you want to remain private, don't come to public service. That is what we are preaching. Everything must be clean and above all, so we know the person in charge of our money. We know what he's doing with the money. We know who his friends are, if some of them are contractors or not, and so on and so forth. So we are raising the bar, the standard for qualification to go to public office. So if we have the high office of the land involved in those acts, it's a bit disappointing.
Okay, I will ask the last question about who will be in charge of this public inquiry that you're asking of for the president. But you know that for the PPP, and Dr. Papa Kwesi Indom, he's been talking about how incorruptible it's been and whether or not he's ever taken a bribe. Let's watch this and come back and continue the conversation. Have you ever taken a bribe?
A bribe? For what purpose? Okay, there's no way. I've not been put in a position where I would have to take a bribe in order to give something to somebody. So no.
Now, a lot of opinion has been given also in terms of our fight against corruption and the things that need to be done in this case in point. Dr. Bosman is with the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana. He's been sharing his thoughts with us on this issue of the controversial gift saga and what should be done in this circumstance. Let's listen to him, and then we'll wrap up the conversation here with the PPP on who will be in charge of that public inquiry, who should run it, and what should we see at the end of the day with that process.
I think I was completely taken aback when I heard that someone has successfully been able to give a gift to the president, because I know when someone occupies the position of the president, this is the highest office in this particular country. So Ghanaians expect a certain level of, a high level of morality, a certain level of administrative commitment, a certain level of professionalism. So I have always been of the view that it's very, very inappropriate for someone who is sitting president of our country to receive a gift of that particular level. We know that when presidents are moving around, they get to place, they are given smokes, they are given this kente cloths, etc. But to the extent that someone has been given a contract by the government of Ghana, and the person gave a gift to the president, personally to the president, I think it's completely inappropriate.
On the basis of the Constitution, is it possible for any organization, any individual, any Ghanaian to say, we want to go forward and impeach the president? And how does that happen?
I think on the basis of the Constitution provides grounds that there are certain things when leaders do, they can be removed from office. That one is clearly established. But one of the things we have to understand in Ghana is that the nature of the system we are practicing, the political system we have in this country, some people can take the initiative. The court is always there to listen to people, whether you are rich, you are poor, you belong to a party, or you don't belong to a party. But the question is, will this thing be able to fly? And when we talk about impeachment, impeachment generally falls within the domain of the legislature. Unless someone is saying that, okay, I think the parliament will not be able to do it, so let me go through the court system. But impeachment is something which will be done by parliament. But let's look at the composition of our parliament. And looking at the system we are practicing, I don't think Ghana will get to a point where a president who has majority in parliament and the parliamentarians will say we are going to support an agenda or an action that will lead to the impeachment. And I think we've been hearing some MPs on the president's side who are justifying that, oh, at times the president will go around and people will be giving smokes, goats, sheep, etc. But let's be very clear, Ford Expedition is different from a goat. This is a country we are having problems with corruption. We are always saying public officials are corrupt, ministers of state, parliamentarians, civil servants. Almost all of us accept that corruption has become synonymous with the Ghanaian people. But people also expect that there are certain individuals, if even we are talking about corruption, we shouldn't be mentioning their names. And one of the persons will be, let's say, the Chief Justice, the Speaker of Parliament, the President, the Vice Chancellors, judges of the Supreme Court, etc. So once people are hearing that even someone was given a contract by the government of Ghana, and that same person gave a gift to the president, and the gift is worth something more than $100,000, then you hear ordinary people saying that, oh, if even the president can do that, then we don't have to blame any individual.
Right then, so that's the political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Bosman, speaking to my colleague Favor Nono in that interview on this issue, saying that impeachment is something that can be looked at legally, but it cannot be carried through looking at the numbers and how Parliament is split between the NDC and the NPP. The NDC has more than 2/3 of the majority, and that will mean that even if you begin the impeachment process, it will amount to nothing. Let me still continue this interview with Kofi Asamoah with the PPP, their policy analyst. Kofi, you say that in your demands you're asking for a public inquiry. Who will do it?
Well, the president himself, but we know he will not do it. We'll be surprised if he does it for a certain inquiry to be undertaken to clear his name or otherwise. But we've been reading Article 284 downwards. I think the last article on that chapter, the conduct of public officers, where if you had a complaint made to SRAJ will investigate, and any public officer can be subject to that kind of investigation. The other inquiry is what Parliament must initiate, which is the impeachment process. So it can start, and if it starts, the Speaker will just have to notify. They just have to make the case to the Speaker. The Speaker submits the matter to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice will have to put together a tribunal with very senior judges of the state to look into it. And when that is formed, the President under the Constitution is obliged to submit himself to that process.
But you've already explained that option is almost mission impossible because it would amount to nothing. It won't happen because of the numbers that are even split in Parliament. So why even look for that option?
At some point, the President will be given the opportunity to give evidence, either by himself or through his lawyer, so that we can understand clearly what went into the matter. The SRAJ option is still there, and also we have also said that if the public inquiry is so difficult and it may never come or it will not come, it's early days yet. I think the options are available, they are open, and one of them, possibly, like I said, if the President says that, look, all this thing that has happened, why bother for re-election? I'm not interested, I want to clear my name, I'm not pursuing the re-election. The inquiry may not even be possible or may not even be necessary. So the options are many, and the President must think through it, consult his anti-corruption advisor, and tell us something that will go to sleep satisfied that the President has done something wrong and he's shown remorse and is interested to do something about it.
Okay.
We can't allow this to be treated as many of the corruption cases that came and nothing came out of it.
All right, let's now speak to the Director of Research for the NDC, William Ahaji, to respond to that issue being raised by the PPP that the President should not go ahead with this year's election and contest on the ticket of the NDC. Dr. William Ahaji joins me now on the line. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Ahaji.
Good afternoon.
Right, so the PPP says, in view of this issue of the controversial gift, President Mahama should not contest in this year's election. For your party, is this an option that is being considered?
Well, I think it's a big joke. Because, I mean, on what basis is it making those claims that the President should not to step down and contest the election? Nothing is being proven against the President for untoward behavior. This matter has been discussed in different on different social media, and indeed from different perspectives. People are expressing their opinion, and on no grounds will somebody suggest that because of his opinion, a properly, legally elected presidential candidate to step down for the party. It doesn't make sense to us.
Okay, so in view of that, since you say that no clear evidence has been adduced in relation to this matter, will it be a good option to try a public inquiry so the facts are laid bare for all of us to see on both ends?
Why would occasion a public inquiry? This is a matter that has occurred, and it's clear the Minister for Communications has issued a statement to the effect that this vehicle is actually in the pool, and it wasn't given with a view to influence the President to make any particular preferential treatment, give anybody any preferential treatment. That was something that somebody just gives to, and he ran it through the normal processes and put it in the public pool. So I'm just at a loss as to why all these things, the claims are being made that it's an illegal act.
But Dr. Haji, if any individual is to give the President a gift that amounts to almost $100,000 and subsequently he wins 2 contracts from government, is that not a fair logical conclusion to draw that there could be some measure of influence here?
No, it isn't. It isn't at all, because the President is nowhere near the award of contract. He's not in the position to award any contract. So that argument is moot. You can't make that argument at all. because the contract was awarded by a duly constituted body, which ran through the normal procurement processes, with the president very distant from the process. So there is no relationship whatsoever with the person winning the contract and a gift they are giving the president at an earlier time. No, I don't think so.
So in your view, the calls being made by the PPP should be dismissed?
I think they're just seeking public attention. They have nothing to go on, and they are overwhelmed by the sterling performance of the government, and they're just joining, as you put in your news item, the army of critics who just don't have any particular thing to hold on to.
All right, Dr. Haji, thank you for your time this afternoon. Dr. William Haji is the Director of Research for the NDC. So, Kofi Asam-Wasiang, the NDC says this is not an option. They will not even consider it in the first place.
Well, listening to, is it Dr. Haji, right?
Yes.
If the kind of thinking and argument is making, we may never have a situation of bribery and corruption, because he's saying that you can't say that the car that was given influenced the president or influenced a contract that went to the gentleman. In any case, how would you establish bribery and corruption? That is why all the guidelines, including that of STRAJ, the President Code of Conduct and all that, said even to the point where there was a struggle to establish the linkage between an action between two people, one of them a public officer and the beneficiary, and a bribe and a gift that is given, as whether it can cause an influence in the words of Dr. Haji. That is where they say when the action is even likely to be perceived, you don't do it. So if ordinary reasonable people, is it unreasonable to think that even if we leave all the other matters to rest, is it unreasonable to believe that the $100,000 influenced the decision of the contract, and subsequently another one was given to him, sole sourcing, and the sole sourcing, the basis for giving a contract sole sourcing, was not complied with? All these things are there, and Mr. Haji is saying that because nobody can put a finger on it. Of course, all of us know that when you're going to give a bribe to somebody, you don't document it. So he should spare us the lectures on what constitutes bribery and what constitutes influence or not. We have expressed an opinion. We didn't say President Mahama was not legitimately elected by the NDC. We know he was done, he went through the process and he won. We are saying on moral grounds. Otherwise, who is going to lead the fight against corruption? Who is going to check anybody? If the person with the power of state, and when I was coming here, I was rereading the Executive Authority of Ghana, Chapter 8 of the Constitution. It resides in the president. He's the only person who can make and omit things. Okay, like his advisor said, it starts and ends with him. So if he is given a gift of $100,000 and we are told that that does not constitute an influence on the contract given to the Burkinabe, look, I'm sorry that this country has a lot of problems. Mr. Haji should do his politics, advocate for NDC to, get elections and so on and so forth. But he should not attempt to join those who are saying that this does not constitute a bribe.
So today you've had a news conference, you've made these points, you've made your demands. How far are you willing to go to get to the bottom of this matter?
We'll take it to every corner of this country.
Which is where?
The electorate, the people of Ghana. And like I said earlier on some point in the interview, that if we as a people aspire to end this thing called corruption, then we should put people there who at least have demonstrated a certain commitment to the fight against corruption. The president's actions in the past, topped and capped by this revelation, doesn't put him in that category of people committed to the fight against corruption.
Okay.
If we put him there, then we know what we want.
All right, Kofi Asam-Wasiang is the policy analyst with the Progressive People's Party, sharing thoughts with us on the proposals that they've made today, asking for the president to apologize, also to submit himself to a public inquiry, and to, if possible, resign as a result of this particular matter with the controversial gift. We'll go for a quick break at this point. When we come back, we'll bring you some other stories, including that matter of the mobile money that is really raising a lot of concerns in Parliament today. There's a proposed clause to make service of mobile money illegal until backed by law. We'll look at that and more after this break. Stay with us. You're still watching The Pulse on your election headquarters on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. And just before we talk about issues to do with mobile money, there are some developments in politics to bring you this afternoon, because Nana Akufo-Addo, the flag bearer of the NPP, is on his second day of his tour in the Central Region. He's taken his team to Twifo Praso, where he's been spreading his message of change, and also been asking that he will ensure that the use of state funds are used judiciously this time around. He's been speaking to supporters in Twifo Praso. And now we do apologize for the sound quality there, but let's get an update from Richard Kojo-Nyarko, our Central Region correspondent, who is with the team on that tour of the Central Region, Nana Akufo-Addo's team. He joins us now on the line. Richard, where's Nana Akufo been today, and what has he been telling the people?
Well, he started from Twifo Heman in the Twifo Heman constituency, where he addressed the chiefs and people there. He first paid a courtesy call on the mining of that area, Nana Mwasa Seku, and the chief also told him that, well, the campaign season has kick-started, and there is a need for all of them to be very modest in the language they use so that they can achieve the needed peace they are all talking about. From there, he went to Twifo Mampong, and he went to Twifo Praso, and has also been to Etimoka. So these are basically the two constituencies that Nana Akufo has been touring today.
All right, and for the tour in the region, Richard, what's the plan here? Where is he expected to go throughout this weekend?
Well, there are basically 14 constituencies he's expected to go. Tonight, he's addressing TESCON, the youth wing of the NPP, at the Cape Coast Polytechnic, right after we return from the two constituencies we've been today. And he is being very vigorous in his message, saying that, well, there is the misuse of the state funds, and when he becomes the president, he intends to be very, very judicious in the use of public money. He says that what is happening in Ghana now is very weird and is unacceptable, and he, as a president, will not do that. So he's been appealing to the people to vote for him as a president to taste what proper leadership really is.
All right, thank you, Richard Kojo-Nyarko, for that update on Nana Akufo-Addo's tour of the Central Region. We know this is his second day. He will continue throughout the weekend, and we will bring you an update on what he's been up to and what he's been telling the people in the region. With just some 5 months to go to the general elections in the country. Remember, this is your election headquarters. We'll bring you all you need to know in the run-up to the elections.
Before you vote,
Now let's head to Parliament and talk about mobile money, because a proposed clause to make services of mobile money illegal until backed by law has been the subject for debate in Parliament today. A clause introduced in the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Bill 2015 was subjected to scrutiny today. Here are excerpts of that debate.
Advertised that he was going to come, but unfortunately he didn't come before we went on recess. I want to find out from leadership when the governor will be asked to come back to follow up on the issue that we discussed then. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at the next, when the governor can come before the House, we take it up at the next meeting.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Marcus Sibeyebo, a member of Parliament, is the one pushing the idea of some regulation for mobile money in the country. We can hear from him, and then we can subject these issues they are raising to some analysis with the Telecoms Chamber.
what we are doing is that we are amending the Banking Act. Now, the Banking Act is now being enlarged, and so it comes under the name Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions, which will be microfinance institutions, savings and loans, rural banks, and universal banks as a way. So the Banking Act has always existed. Now, e-money business, that's those who send money by mobile money, as we call it, are regulated by guidelines set by the Bank of Ghana. So the last time they put out the guidelines was July 6th last year, and it's up for review this coming July. Now, these are administrative guidelines provided by the Bank of Ghana. It cannot bite enough. So whilst at this, trying to amend the Banking Act, I felt we have a fine opportunity to rope in the e-money businesses too. So I have provided an amendment, a new clause in the bill that following the coming into force of this amended act, the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act, when it comes into force, then the minister shall provide regulations. So it means it will be by an ally. This will not be the Bank of Ghana giving out guidelines at the bank, but it has to come to Parliament, where the appropriate committee, I think subsidiary legislation, will take a look at it and make regulations to govern the operations of e-money business.
And you are saying that until the regulation envisaged in this is duly passed by Parliament, no institutions are engaged in the business of e-money.
Absolutely. Now, the cost of a failure in the e-money business far exceeds the benefits that we see today. I must admit that the mobile money services have really transformed the way we go about businesses and even sending money in the country. It is good. But if we recall what happened with microfinance institutions, they were regulated by the Bank of Ghana, but the mess created over there gives me fear. So I will not sit down unconcerned for something to happen before we bring proper regulations. I think the place to fashion our proper regulations is Parliament. Now, do you know that forest bureaus are regulated by the Bank of Ghana? Yeah. In essence, but nothing happens. Anybody can just walk into a forest bureau, exchange whatever they want to exchange, and walk away. So there are laxes in Bank of Ghana guidelines. It is not sufficient for them to provide guidelines, and we have seen weak regulations from the Bank of Ghana. So I'm saying that in this instance, let Parliament do the proper thing by regulating activities of e-money business. That's what I'm seeking for. And how else would you make this law bite if you tell them that until such time that the regulations come into force, then we have to cease e-money business. If indeed the government is serious, they'll get the regulations in place in time.
How do you respond to those who think that existing laws governing the banking sector and the telecommunications sector makes room for this to happen?
No, I think Article 11 of the Constitution is clear. Laws, regulations like this one have to come through Parliament. What we have now is we have administrative guidelines. The Bank of Ghana just sits with the telcos and then they decide, give us this. Do you know that you are not supposed to send more than 2,000 Ghana cedis a day by mobile money? I know somebody who sends 17,000 a day. You are not supposed to send more than 20,000 in a month. People send more. It gives room for fraud, money laundering, terrorist funding. There are a lot of loopholes going into an election year. If you are not careful, maybe one day somebody can even send a Ford car through mobile money to someone. So let's regulate them properly, okay?
So that's Dr. Mark Asibe was speaking to our parliamentary correspondent Elton John Brobe today on this matter of the mobile money debate in Parliament. Joining us in the studio is the Head of Research and Communications at the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Derek Lai. Derek, good afternoon to you. So the MPs have raised concerns with the mobile money service, saying that until the law is passed, it is illegal. For your chamber, what do you make of this development in Parliament?
This is news to me, but then we've had a couple of discussions going on from Parliament starting from somewhere last week. We believe as mobile operators we've been empowered by the central bank. I have to say that this discussion is between the central bank and Parliament. We are at the end service providers being empowered by the central bank. We've made investments to provide this service. So I actually appreciate the fact that the lawmakers might see that there are gray areas in the law that they want to amend. We welcome it that we could amend. And I've been at the central bank today, and this came up where the central bank spoke about the fact that they actually engage in Parliament to enable them appreciate the mobile money business, because I have to also say that people use it, but people don't really appreciate or understand the mechanics behind the service. So it's important that we're having this discussion. Mobile money had started in 2010, and this is the 6th year. So if Parliament wants to strengthen the laws that govern the operation of the service, sure, why not? As a chamber, I believe we welcome it.
But thing is this, for some of the conversations that have gone on from last week up until this minute now, where MPs are saying that there are aspects of which we can make this illegal until the law is properly passed, is this. Some don't understand the operations with mobile money, especially when telecom companies ordinarily provide telco services. Some say that you're straying into the financial sector and you may be stepping on some financial toes.
I don't believe we are stepping on any financial toes. I think what it is that we are complementing the banking service, and the people who are providing the Bank of Ghana basically license what we call the dedicated electronic money issuers. Basically this breakdown was done so that operators can have subsidiary companies that focus on mobile money. So it might be MTN mobile money, it might be Tigo Cash, it might be Vodafone Cash or whichever, but there's a separate business of the MNO that is running that service. Having said that, like I said, in 2015, December, at the end of 2015, there were in excess of about close to 13 million bank accounts that had been opened. In 2015, December, we had in excess of 30 million mobile money accounts that were created. Active is about 6 million, in excess of 200 million transactions, totaling 35 billion value of transactions in December 2015. So we appreciate that we are complementing the banking service, because particularly for the banks, as at the end of last year, they had about 1,175 bank branches. We have in excess of 90,000 agents, mobile money agents, who are in the sense of what we are talking about. If it's a banking service that we are providing, they are like the branches that are providing the service to customers.
So wouldn't you see the clear fear of some industry watchers that, look, it may be a complementary service, but it's gradually wiping out other players in the sector?
I don't believe it's wiping out players. I think the central bank, in their sense, have appreciated the fact that banking has been with us since 1864. I think it's about in the 19th century. Mobile money came 5 years ago, and you can see the growth. So obviously there's something that it's providing which the banks cannot provide. But the truth is, what it is that the banks are holding the money. We are only providing the interface to formalize the informal economy. So a typical example I normally use is, Francis, if you walk into a bank today and say, I want to open a 2 cedi bank account, would that happen? It won't happen. If you say you want to open a 5 cedi account, it won't happen. Mobile money is enabling transfer of cash, whether 1 cedi, 2 cedi, 3 cedi. So basically, it's enabling the central bank to even tell movement of cash. There's so many benefits to it that we cannot quantify even right here at the studio. But the point is, it's augmenting the banking service, and I believe that banks are the back end. We are mobilizing this cash for the banks, and then consumers can still get on with it, what they have to do without necessarily even walking to the banks to transact business.
So for you, the apprehension by some of the MPs is uncalled for?
No, I don't think that the apprehension by the MPs is uncalled for. I think that they are lawmakers, it's their prerogative that if they feel that there are gray areas in the law they want to rectify. I strongly, like I said, I think that's a fair call. We would look into it. Even like I said, I was at Bank of Ghana today. They shared a roadmap with which they intend to do a review of the guidelines, which was in existence in July 2015. It's on the Bank of Ghana's website. And so the lawmakers feel that they are gray areas. Why not? We are having a roadmap to even look at these. It's a fair time. It's the right time for us to look at it. But if you call it, I don't know, you can call it illegal. There are a lot of things you could call them. But the point is you can't stop it because we have in excess of 6 million people who are using the service. These are constituents that belong to the MPs making these calls. We want to disenfranchise them? I think not.
That'll be an interesting angle to look at this. But thank you, Derek Lai, for joining us this afternoon here on the program. He's the head of research and communications at the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications on that interesting topic of mobile money and the debate that is raging in Parliament. We'll pause for a break. When we come back, I have a very special guest for you. You might get an a cappella this afternoon, but you may also get a chance also to begin to do something good for people who have heart-related problems. Details after the break. Stay with us. You're bopping your head, but yes, we need to talk about this gentleman, Kwabena Kwabena, and he's doing a lot, not only in the music scene, but also helping in what you used to love, your heart. He wants to save more in the country today. We'll talk about the project, but we want to get to know a bit more about him. He's joined us now in the studio. Kwabena, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. And thanks for joining us today here on the program. Yes, you know you are the ladies' man, don't you?
That's what they say.
But you know that, right?
That's what they're saying, so I accept it.
Don't you get the kind of approaches from the ladies almost all the time?
Yes, they love my music. They love what I do. The guys love my music too, but you know the guys are kind of hard, so they don't want to show
but
it. The ladies are, you know, yes, they are.
And they love you too, don't they?
Of course they do, and I love them too.
You love them too. Okay, tell me something. Many listen to your music, they are inspired, but how did it all start? Was it just you woke up one morning and said, I want to be a musician, and that was it?
I'd say all my life I've wanted to be at where I am today. So I'd say it's not a surprise to me. I've always wanted to be a musician, and I thank God I am a musician.
When did it click you that you wanted to be a musician?
As far back as I say age 8.
What happened?
Yeah, yes, I joined the ministration in church and singing, playing the instrument, and getting closer to music from that age. So I always knew I wanted to be a musician. Yeah.
If you had a chance to be anything but a musician, what will it have been?
It would be I would have been a professional footballer.
Footballer, you say?
Yes, exactly.
Really? Do you play football often?
Yes, I do. I do.
What position do you play?
I'm a centre half.
As in what, centre back?
Yeah.
Oh, defender, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So if
I do the holding midfield role.
Holding midfield. Yeah. So if you were to play in any football league or anywhere, where would you have chosen to be?
Surely will be the English Premiership.
Oh,
yeah.
Why not the Ghana Premier League?
I want money now.
Okay, that's fine. So in your other life, you will have been a footballer.
Yes.
But how has the journey been for you in music in Ghana?
I'd say it's been tough, and it's been I'd say it's come with all the experience. We always praying that we'll be able to put the industry together very well in Ghana and get things well structured in Ghana, so that musicians will not strive like we are striving in the country. Like we strive to go make our own money, or our money is due us. You understand what I'm saying? So we only will pray and hope we wake up one day and everything is in place as it is elsewhere.
I forgot to ask. Yes, you started singing from the choir, but how did you transition from being in church and singing in a choir to high life? there are so many genres in this world. Why high life?
Yes, I'm a writer, I'm a composer, and what comes to mind, what inspires me is what I write, and I get a lot of inspiration listening to high life music from our very old I'd say our predecessors like Ejako Onimo, like Dr. KJC, CK Man, Papa Yankson, mentioned them, the Kodjo Entries, the Daddy Lumbers, and all of these great musicians. Pat Thomas, my mentor, So listening to all these guys and growing up and my passion for music, there's none other music I would have done but high life music.
Okay, and for the high life music, some would say that maybe you tapped into an area where it's not been really explored in contemporary times. Some try, they fail, but you've been able to stay there for so many years. How have you done it?
Yes, I believe, I'd say the good book says, that's the Bible says, your wealth is in your culture. in Proverbs. I don't know. I've forgotten the exact word. But
our
Proverbs, your wealth is in your culture. So I look at my culture. I look at things around me. I look at the stories in our homes. You understand, in our marketplaces, wherever we actually behave like Ghanaians. And I put it into writing. I put it into music, and I put it into melody. So there's nothing like being what you are. So that's basically the reason why, because we are what we are.
Okay, let me take off that mask of Kwabena, the high life musician, for just a moment. Who are you beyond being a musician? What kind of person are you?
What kind of person am I? I'd say I am just a very simple person who want to always achieve something for myself. I always want to do something to impress myself and make sure that whatever I do with excellence. That's the kind of person I am.
Do you worry what the next person says about you?
No.
Why not?
At all. Why? Simply because I want to do what is going to make me comfortable, and what I am convinced that whatever happens, I can truly defend it and make sure that, hey, I took that decision and I'm so proud of that decision.
Okay.
So I don't really care.
Okay. Now you say that high life is something you've loved, but for the song Buekwan, it has the two, high life and gospel. Where did you draw the inspiration for that particular song?
Okay, let me make this correction. High life is a rhythm, as a genre, I'll say. But if you listen to Buekwan is a reggae. It's in the form of a reggae tip. But then the message is quite religious. You understand? So. All boils down to what I was saying about our environment and.
What did you see that made you sing this one? What happened?
You see, I say this song came to me in a dream.
A dream?
Yes, it came to me in a dream, and I can't place myself being so responsible for everything in the song, but I only will say thank God for such a message.
What happened in that dream? I want to know.
Okay. I'd say I remember I was lying down, I woke up and it was a little after 4 a.m. and it was just dropping and I had to write.
What was dropping?
Every lyric, every melody, and everything about the song in 3 verses. So for straight up to about 2 hours, I was writing the song, and I finished the song and I entered the studio the next day, and
that one happened.
Yeah.
Tell me something. For musicians, yes, sometimes your environments will determine what you sing, and you're just saying that this song came from, a dream.
Yeah.
But does it always happen like that?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You see, songs actually come to you in different ways. For me, I'd say it always comes to me at awkward times, and anytime it comes to me, I just have to write. You understand? No matter what genre it is, I just have to write.
Okay. That's for Buekwan.
Yeah.
There's my favorite music.
Which
it's recent, but I love it for 2 reasons that I cannot disclose on the
Which
program.
one is that? Tuyemuda?
Adult music.
Okay, adult music. Okay.
Tuyemuda is some will say, a great one, depending on how you look at it.
Yes, yes.
For adult music,
yeah.
Okay, since you mentioned Tuyemuda, let's talk about that one, because that's a bit controversial.
Exactly.
Where from that one?
You said controversial, but I don't see anything controversial about the song, because Tuyemuda is an everyday Akan language, which.
But you see, you told a story in that song before you said Tuyemuda. So, what happened with this one? What happened?
You understand? The story I'm telling is a love story. It has to do with you and your partner, and everything that your partner wants, which she wants it or he wants it every time or every day. So it can be anything. Within the relationship, it can be anything. Probably wants to laugh every day, probably wants to go to the movies every day, probably wants to eat one particular food every day.
But see, Kwabena, it's okay if you want to generalize it, but we all know what it is, isn't it?
Do you know what it is?
Tell me, you tell me.
I just told you.
That is what? It could be anything?
Exactly, so you could make a pick.
Kwabena.
Yeah, that's what it is. You could make a pick. It's in your Tuyemuda, I don't know.
So you just pick and choose?
Say your movies now, say nyom na ope, say aduane na ope, bibia ope.
Aduane which one?
Na aduane be bio na onye.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Let's now talk about what's on your shirt right now. Save a Life Foundation. It's something that's been happening for quite some time now. Save a Life Foundation is happening. But Of all the things you want to do philanthropically, why this one?
This because I say back in school, I had it, or it happened around me at a very tender age when a colleague in school was actually diagnosed back then. And I remember the feeling we all had as students in school, and how we all even wanted to help with our small money given to us by our parents, like to contribute something little towards our colleague's surgery. So wanting to do something like this, like a corporate social responsibility, nothing came to mind but that. I thought about that moment and I was like, oh, I need to help people with heart conditions. So I narrowed it to children because I realized that if you're able to access surgery, if you have such a condition and you're able to get surgery, it means that you lead a normal life just like any other person who has never had any heart defect or something. So that struck me. You understand what I'm saying? And it struck me because it's so expensive to be able to access surgery. And the twist of the whole thing is Ghana is the cheapest. If you compare getting heart surgery all over the world, Ghana is so cheap, like between $6,000 to $8,000, you can have heart surgery. And this is $6,000 US and $8,000 US. You can imagine how many people can afford that. So I thought about it. What can I do? I said, okay, I'm a musician. People love to come and see me play in concert. Okay, I'll organize a concert, call my friends to come support the concert, and then we will invite people with, you know, then I mean the corporate society, churches, I mean organizations, everybody to actually come in there, purchase a ticket, and when you come in there too, you bring your checkbook, there will be pledge cards and all of that, and then you come and support these children.
Okay. Yeah. Now let's play you a clip right now. When we come back from this, I'll ask him about what kind of progress has been made since he started this project and how far it's been, the challenges, and some of the very unique stories of the children that he has been able to save through his concert with this.
Research has proven that out of every 100 births in Ghana, one has hole in heart. Now, 60% of these children will die before age 5. Most of these deaths occur as a result of the patient's inability to pay for the cost of surgery. Because of this, I have decided, with the help of the Ghana National Cardiothoracic Center, to support these children by raising funds to pay for their surgeries.
KB Music, in collaboration with the National Cardiothoracic Center, presents Kwabena Kwabena Save a Life concert.
On the 2nd of July 2016, join Kwabena Kwabena and friends as they raise funds for the National Cardiothoracic Center of Korle Bu. Grab your laugh ticket of 200 Ghana cedis regular and 300 Ghana cedis VIPs to support these underprivileged children.
Get your tickets from Bachona Total, Airport Shell, Silver Bear Cinemas, Accra Mall, and Global Cinemas, Wager. For ticket reservation, call 0262 8070.
Right then, so that's for the concert happening on the 2nd of July this year. It's one program I will not miss. We all help in trying to save a life in the country today. Kwabena, you started this some time ago. What's been the results that you've had with it?
We started 3 years ago, in 2013. Our first concert, we were able to realize money to be able to do for 6 children. And so our target was 10, we were able to do 6. The next time our target was 15, we were able to do 9. So far we've been able to do 15 surgeries successfully. Okay. And they are all living and I mean quality life. There is this boy who is even the luckiest, I'd say. After one of the donors or sponsors actually sponsored his surgery, he took this boy up and said, I'm going to take this boy's education up as well. Yeah, so little Philip is enjoying free education.
Wow. From someone's pocket, not from the state.
Exactly, yeah. From someone's pocket. I'd like to mention Mr. Kaligajapo. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you so much. God bless you.
Okay.
You know, so these are some of the things we feel so happy, and it pushes us to do more.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've done 15 so far. This year we've identified 10 very special cases, which we are going to outdoor these children on the 2nd of July. And we're going to beg of you, churches, organizations, corporate society, we're going to beg of you to come to the aid of these children, 10 of them. and we're looking for over $80,000 to be able to access
to take them.
The
Okay,
surgery, yeah.
Tell me something. In the work you've done over the past 3 years in trying to save these little children's hearts, have you realized whether or not Ghanaians are supportive of the vulnerable in society?
I'd say Ghanaians can do more. Yes, we're doing a lot, but we can do more. Because Ghana is a very blessed country. I always say this about Ghana because I love Ghana so much. This is a country, I'll say Ghana, God has blessed us with a lot. We have a lot, so we can do more. So I'll be begging of you, we'll be coming to you. We know that let's save these children.
Okay, this is something that you want to do. It could be as little as even 1 Ghana cedi. You can save a life.
Yes, as a matter of fact, yes, there's 1 Ghana cedi. As we speak right now, if you pick your phone and you text SAVE, as in the text message, and you send it to the number 1962, you'll be contributing 1 cedi right then. So you can do as many times you want. You can do 10 times, you can do 100 times.
Across all networks?
Across all network, everywhere. So you pick up your phone, you text SAVE, and then you send it to the number 1962, and you'll be contributing. We'll send you a nice message saying to you, thank you for contributing.
Sure. And when you do it, you know that you're saving a little child's heart, so that child can live a bit more comfortably than she or he is doing right now. So do well to save a life and support this project. We all will in our own small way to ensure that these children get the best of care so they can all live a normal life like we all do. We sit here and have our programs and do the things we do, but we can all help out in our own small way. Kwabena, let me end with this one. And I talked about it just in the middle of the interview about adult music.
Yeah.
Look, now be very blunt. What was this business with adult music? What's with this one?
You know, you're always thinking about that moment for couples, and you're thinking about that special moment where you need that song which is going to set up the mood very, very well, you know, for adults.
You know exactly what he's talking about. What special power?
You know, all I'm saying is, Sophia Jumaba, now this was she says.
Don't say it in Tree, say it in English.
When she's back from work, all you need to do is, you know, find some hot water and massage her with the hot water, and then find some inkuto shea butter. Na fe chino. You can see you chew a massage. Massage in tree is uchi.
Is that something you love to do?
Yes, I do. I do that for my wife a lot.
All the time?
Yes. I wouldn't say all the time, but yes, anytime. Yes, I have to massage her.
You do it today?
If she asks me to.
You will?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Thank you for joining us today on the show.
Thank you so much, brother.
But Mr. Romantic says that in as much as he likes love, we should also help in saving these young ones in our own small way, donating to save a life today. You like love? Yes, I know you do. So try and save a life today. At this point, we'll go for a break. We'll come back and bring you sports here on The Pulse. Stay with us. Now, just before we bring you sports today, I need us to have a quick conversation with a man who's become very popular. He says that enough of the big English we've been speaking today and talk about development in the country. He's called Dr. Think Twice.
Yes.
Doc, good afternoon.
Yeah, fine afternoon.
First of all, how did you become a doctor?
No, I want to say the doctor. In our setup, if I should have used my real name is Ernest Bermi. Dr. Think Twice is just a name of a concept.
What's the concept?
You get it right.
What is it about?
Exactly. I am one man campaigning the whole country against societal pressure. That the pressure society mount on individuals to marry and have babies.
Okay.
That I'm dealing with the entry point of children into the system and then training. This is what is killing Africans.
What's the problem with people getting married and having babies?
Exactly. Lack of planning. We don't plan.
Who doesn't plan? The man who goes to get married?
The whole of African society. You can have wealth, you can have money. You get it right? But studying the behavior of a child. So that the most important is the talent. When the talent comes out, that is what we come, you know, with inventions, creativity. Managing our resources, everything comes in. But in the modern era, I trace all the, you know, the pressure. When will you marry? When will you give birth? That's your manhood work, prove it. How responsible are you without the child? One is not okay. What about males or females? There were millions and millions and trillions of them. And one word, one sentence, one or more of the queries on an individual become pressure. And so far as it's our culture, it becomes very difficult to resist it. It's much suicidal to resist it.
So what?
Hence many unplanned babies.
So are you saying that people should just stop, parents should stop telling their children, look, you've got to get married and have your children?
Look at something. We've done all this up to date. Now look at the human beings, sufficient human beings walking around.
Who makes it sufficient? How
when I say
did you measure it?
Population. Look at our population. It's almost a 30 million population of Ghanaians. You get it right? We can tap our resources. Go all over the country. The human beings are all over the offices, etc. Go to the ministries. They are there. During childhood, most of the brains that should have worked efficiently have been killed.
Why?
So we have sufficient human beings in the system, but insufficient brains are not working.
What's the problem
Hence,
there? What's the disconnect between the people we have and the brains?
And what?
And the brains that you say are not
exactly.
properly grown.
Now, everybody is born. If you are not being born, probably, through cesarean, etc. Then we can. Nobody's coming from the moon or the ground or the sky. You got it right? Now, we blame our elders. Now, big men, they are so wicked, they're blah, 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 blah. None of them is coming from the moon or the ground or the sky. You get it right?
So your point is...
So therefore, if the pressure exists, which is serving as a force of entry point of children into the system, then the training comes in.
So we should stop the pressure?
Exactly.
Who should stop the pressure?
I am campaigning. I've even started. In a most strategic manner.
No. Sorry, Doc. Who should stop the pressure?
Society. You don't understand that?
That's vague. Who particular?
Now listen carefully. Society is indebted in us. It's like a cancer that is in us. You get it right. But now the most important thing is we have the cause and effect. Now the one applying and the recipient. So is the recipient
who's applying?
The society.
Who is society?
When you talk about the society,
it could be anybody.
Exactly. Your mom, for the family level, the church you go, the environment where you work. You get it right. The pressure is everywhere.
All of that should stop.
No, I'm not saying that. For them, they will apply it. But you, the recipient,
you must be strong enough.
Exactly.
Okay.
You need to develop
because of time, we may have to end it here. But we'll do it again sometime. Where we'll have an extensive discussion on this matter. And
this is a very serious issue we need to address.
I agree. We definitely will address it. Yeah. But we will at this point break. And as my man, Dr. Think Twice. And yes,
it's a cultural revolutionist.
Revolutionist.
I'm not a social commentator.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
That part we'll sort out later on. But we'll go for that break now and bring you sports. Gary Smith has all the details from the world of sports for us. Stay with us.
Nice one.